Everybody hear me here? Okay, good. We're going to make this kind of short and kind of sweet. Do a few questions right now. How many people here believe that there's extraterrestrial life? Show of hands. Okay. How many people believe that intelligent life from other solar systems is visiting us right now? Got a couple here, okay. How many people who believe that they're here for our benefit and are our allies? Okay, okay. Well, right now we have a research group going on in Boulder, Colorado, where we've been studying this subject for quite a while. And sifting through all of the mountains of evidence is a lot of work. There's a lot of hoaxes, a lot of disinformation, a lot of false stuff, a lot of confusion about the subject. But when you actually sift through mountains of information, you really only find out three things. Number one, they're here. They are here, 100%. Number two, their technology is very, very highly advanced. Their machines do things that we simply don't understand how they do it. It violates the laws of physics as we know it. And number three, they don't respect us very much. They violate our laws, they violate our airspace, they kidnap people, they do experiments on people, they steal sperm and eggs for reasons which we're still trying to figure out. We think that they're probably creating a hybrid race that can live here because of the biological contamination. Let's face it, all of us can catch diseases from each other. Imagine something that comes from a place where they don't have an immune system to deal with that. They would have to work very hard to survive here, and that's probably what they're doing. They break pretty much all of our laws, kidnapping, murder even. Does anybody know anything about cattle mutilations? Has anybody heard about that? Okay, well there is a phenomenon called human mutilations also. We know of people that have been abducted and then they later find that they've been mutilated, killed, murdered. We have a little booth over here where I'm giving away free information from our society. So like I said, I'm going to make it kind of short and sweet. Does anybody have any questions whatsoever? Yes? Are they visible? You mean, are their spaceships visible or are they visible? Well, as far as we know, they have the cloaking ability to become invisible, yes. We don't know that much about them. We know a lot of military people have come out and have you ever heard of Project Disclosure? Yeah. Well, a lot of people are coming out now with information that was hidden for decades. And yes, they do have the ability to be invisible, as far as we know. Anybody else have any questions?
How to protect ourselves?
How do I know?
How to protect ourselves?
Oh, how do we protect ourselves? About the only thing we can do right now is awareness. We know that they can hide their spaceships. We don't know exactly why they're here. We don't know who they are. The only way that we can really protect ourselves is with awareness. We have to raise consciousness about this whole issue worldwide. Once we raise consciousness, the good thing that's going to be happening, hopefully, is that we will gain a higher perspective. And we will stop fighting amongst ourselves, which they look at us like we're a bunch of insane monkeys, which kind of we are. We will take care of our one and only home, our environment here, and we'll make our system sustainable, and we'll hopefully kick them off. Because obviously they're here for a reason. And as far as what that reason is, it's up for debate. Some people are saying there are spiritually advanced star brothers, welcome them down with love and open arms and all that. As far as we know, they are no more honest than we are. And let's face it, when the Europeans came to the Americas, they did not say, we are here to steal your land and kill you. They said, we're your friends, we've got all these goodies for you, and welcome us down. And we all know how that turned out. When a more advanced group meets a more primitive group that they have no respect for, the primitive group usually ends up suffering very badly. And that's why we believe that extreme discernment is what we should be doing right at this moment. Any other questions? Okay. Well, the information's out. Excuse me.
Could we work together with them?
Excuse me?
Could we work together?
You know, I can't hear very well.
Could we work together, she said.
Okay, can we work together with them? Well, right now, we should not be accepting technology from them that would make us dependent on them. And we don't need to owe them anything. We actually have all of the solutions to all of our problems that we've already got right now. We have energy solutions now that are homegrown. And do you mean that we can communicate, that we can work with them on certain ways? We don't know. First of all, we need to know who they are and why they're here. You know, in order to say that that's a yes or a no, we have to know a lot more than we do. Which is why right now we say if we don't know who they are, if they're here in secrecy and breaking our laws, they're going to have to prove to us that they are benevolent and our friends before I think, and we think that we should open our hearts and our planet to them. Yes?
Is it one species that's doing this right now? Or?
One species? No, not really. A lot of species. You might want to look up Paul Hellier's testimony. He was the Minister of Defense of Canada for 23 years, and he recently came out and spilled the beans on the whole thing. It's all on YouTube, and he says that there are at least 4 races that he knows of, which means that there's probably a lot more. From what we know, this planet is very valuable in probably biological resources, and they're all competing for it right now, and it's all being done in secrecy. So, and also Edgar Mitchell, Apollo 14 astronaut, said pretty much the same thing. He said it's a zoo up there. He said there's stuff all over the place, and even the SOHO telescope, which is always aimed at the sun. Check out some of the stuff that they filmed. It's mind-blowing. They find gigantic spaceships there refueling all the time. Okay, yeah. What is the government doing about it? We don't know. Probably right now they're trying to keep us from looking at it since they deny everything. We don't know if they're actively resisting or cooperating, or we don't know. Sorry. A lot of stuff we don't know.
What kind of communication humans have?
What kind of communication do they have? Oh, humans and them. We're not sure about that either. I mean, a lot of people who have been abducted and have been in contact and have come out, they said it's face-to-face communication. Telepathy also, there's evidence that they're telepathic, and they can probably speak any language they want. You know, they can speak to you in whatever language they choose. You know, their intellects are way beyond us. Their technologies are probably hundreds of millions of years beyond us, so they can pretty much do what they want. Any other questions? Yes? Excuse me? Why would the government be keeping quiet about it? There's a few answers to that. Some people have come out and said that whatever beings are visiting us have made deals with the government in secrecy, dealing technologies in exchange for our government denying they even exist. And if the government came out now and said, oh yeah, we've been keeping this a secret since the 40s, and Roswell really happened, and people have even died because they've disclosed information, the government might have a hard time explaining themselves right now. Some people say it's because that everybody would panic. I don't think everybody would panic. I think that certain institutions might suffer. You know, religious institutions and other ones might fall into disarray because it would suddenly become, you know, that we're not the center of the universe and all of that. So it's a little hard to say the answer to that, but yeah. Okay, anything else? Oh, yeah, Dr. Stephen Greer. He runs what's called Project Disclosure. It's been going on since the early part of the, I think around the year 2000, where over 400 people have come out, a lot of them in private industry and government, and they have said, like you pointed out, about what's going on, yeah. And the problem we have with Stephen Greer is that he ignores anything negative. He's pretty much, you know, invite them down and they're so advanced and they're going to help us and all this stuff, and he ignores the human mutilations, the kidnappings, the messing with our military facilities and all the other mischief that they do. Right. He does a lot of, you know, meditation. He has things out in the desert, Encounter in the Desert, where they bring people out supposedly to meet face-to-face with extraterrestrials that they invite down. There are people that are communicating with them, and they're actually cooperating with them. And at this point we say, unless these be free energy, you know, I don't really know what that is. Yeah, well, apparently a lot of energy is suppressed right now. If you look up leaf cell technologies, a very advanced solar cell that was developed at MIT that would basically put every form of energy out of business, that's being suppressed right now, as are a lot of technologies. And that's probably because the big corporations don't want to lose their profits. So. Yeah.
Starting a war.
Excuse me? The aliens, you mean? Stephen Greer, would he be an ally to the aliens or for us? No, simply because he does not advocate any kind of discernment. He says, let them down. let them come here, let them even take control of our place because they're so much wiser than we are. Well, like I said, you can see what happened to Native Americans when the Europeans came over. And I personally, in spite of our flaws as a race, I do not want to see us subjugated, and I would rather not see this place become like a giant chicken farm. I don't think it's a healthy thing. Oh, yeah, Stephen Hawking. Yeah, Stephen Hawking's, you know, he definitely advocated discernment and that we shouldn't be broadcasting our position out there and, you know, all sorts of stuff. And he's absolutely right. You know, unless we know what is going on, we'd better be discerning because the stakes are incredibly high here, which is the future freedom of the human race. But that's true. Yeah, that's true. There's a lot of evidence that there has been visitations in the past. You know, they have left their debris all over. You know, things that we couldn't have built way back then. That evidence is pretty strong. And yes, since the Second World War, when we blew off those bombs, suddenly they realized that the dumb monkeys had the power to destroy a priceless ecosystem here and kill themselves. And from what we gather, they probably actually think that they're here for our own good. They think that if we're left to our own devices, we trash the place and kill ourselves. So, you know, it's not like they hate us, you know. But they also probably see the human race as a resource because so many people go missing every year. You know, the abductees that are found, you know, with implants in them and that have communicated with them are a certain amount, but a lot of people just go missing. And we have no idea what happens to them. No idea. They could be taken away and dissected. They could be made into slaves. Who knows? Thank you very much. Yeah. Am I worried about being kidnapped? No. Excuse me? No, I'm not worried. No. I mean, I'm not suicidal, but I'm not worried about death personally, because this is really an important thing. You know, the future of the human race is more important than my physical safety, so I'm not worried. Yeah.
Are you offended by the fact that I'm trying to make friends with them?
Excuse me?
Are you upset with the fact that I am actively trying to make friends with them?
That's up to you, but I would suggest that you be discerning and realize that deception is the way of nature.
But if they're so much more advanced and we would stand no chance, then what good is there in being like, fuck you, you're the mean ones, stay away. I like these ones, they're nice.
Well, one thing that people think is that technological advancement equals spiritual advancement. And by looking at the way humans are, that's simply not true. Because the more spiritually advanced humans are, quite often the ones that are low technology, they're Buddhist monks or whatever, and the most highly advanced technological societies sometimes are the most savage. And they also need a lot of resources, which means they have to go into other countries and exploit them. So why do we think that they're not in the same boat as that?
Right. So you're advocating for a spiritual battle against
no, I think that
physical
discernment is in order. They need to prove to us that they are benevolent, and they haven't done that yet.
Could there be super duper powerful, super duper nice ones that those are the ones who we should be talking to, like, hey, all those other ones, fuck them, let's, like, maybe that seems like a plan.
Well, that's also an assumption, and we don't know if that's true or not. Yeah.
I think that's the end of your time.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you very much, everybody.
Give it up for Justin, everybody.
Information's over there. Everything's free. Thank you.
Give it up for Justin, everybody.
Yo!